Hello. Just wanted to open with our new bird bath, bee bath, whatever you want to call it. To most people, it's a bird bath, but because we don't have a lot of bees or a lot of birds that are over here, we actually fill it with rocks. And you may have seen before I had kind of a terracotta tray that that had water in it that kind of sat over here in the yard area, and I've always kind of maintained it as a bee bath because, well, bees need water too. And you put some rocks, and in this case it's kind of more like some looks like just pieces of wall or something that were left over from construction, but put those in so that bees don't drown, basically. But I just wanted to show that off as part of today. How do I open a video? I don't know. I'm not a video person. I just do this stuff to show you my garden and stuff, and talk and stuff like that. But an update, because holy crap, look at those strawberries. They're going crazy. I've actually already, if you remember from the last video, let me get down here. Dig down in here under all this. You see the pot down there with the little, it's got all these leaves and all this stuff coming out of it. Well, all of that is coming off. That is, if you remember, where I mentioned strawberries reproduce by sending off these runners, this thing here. And we had decided, hey, we're going to try and reproduce, we're going to kind of pot some runners so that we can spread out and share some of our strawberries. And so here's another one over here. This one's doing a little bit better. Well, the other day I finally cut off, you see right there, I finally cut off the lead that was the initial runner that came from way over in here somewhere, way down around in the bottom here, that I initially planted in that pot. And I actually had to cut off, these are some other runners, these were going crazy, they were getting everywhere, that were feeding. Just kind of like, I had to snip the umbilical cord on these strawberries and let these kind of root themselves. And I think this one needs a little more water. I'll need to get the hose and water that one a little better. But look at how crazy geez, these things are getting huge strawberry plants. And you see over here, here's some more of those runners I was just talking about. Let me get down here. Just all this over here, all these tendrils, all these runners here, all this stuff. Any of these, you see like right here where it's already kind of started to bend and get a good shot. We get this, pull the leaves back and see right here, and it's kind of like it'll like hit the ground or whatever, it'll kind of bounce out and you get kind of this kind of second bend, and it'll continue on and it'll start growing leaves and all this stuff right here. Well, I just got a couple of them. Well, these things, if this touches the ground anywhere, and I mentioned this before, this runner touches the ground anywhere, it'll start rooting. There's all these little fibers and hairs and things that are on here. Get in real close. All of those little fibers and hairs and everything will root. Those will become roots, and you'll spread strawberries, and next thing you know, you'll have strawberries everywhere. And that's how I did that. And this one too. I just took one of those runners and stuffed it in a pot and let it get watered by everything else. And I'm going to share those and give those to my sister so she can have some of our strawberries, because our strawberries are doing very well this year after I moved the planter over here. And we've harvested almost all of the initial crop, and then the other day, maybe last week I guess, came up and this cluster over here started sprouting, and we're like, oh, okay, we're not done for the season. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, maybe gonna have 7 or 8 strawberries right here in this little cluster right here. And you can see some of these down here that have already started to form. There's that one, 2, 3, yeah. And this one will be probably in a few days. And our last strawberries from the old batch, yeah, our last 2 right here. I'll probably take this one out tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, Sunday, because tomorrow I'm gonna be out of town. I'll probably take this one. I might just pull it later today just because. And that one's starting to turn, and it's got maybe 2 or 3 days. But crazy. Strawberries going crazy. I can't believe I've just talked for 5 minutes on strawberries. But we're moving past our little frog thing to the corn. Just kind of updating, because I don't remember if I mentioned the whole wind factor. I've discovered wow, oof. This was in the ground. That's how fast the corn's growing, that it actually picked up this little grate. And if you look, I have these little mini trellis grate things in front of all the corn, because come to find out, and something when we were growing popcorn in, back up here, when we were growing popcorn in the fall, everything we looked into said popcorn and the glass gem corn that we were growing were very deep rooted plants. Apparently sweet corn is the exact opposite and is super shallow rooted, to the point where it's really wind sensitive. And so I have to actually prop these up and let me put this back here to help strengthen the stalks, so that we get to where, like, the big guys down here, these big main stalks and this are able to support themselves. I've got a couple like over here on the end. This one's still pretty soft and it gets kind of whipped around a lot. I don't know if that one's gonna make it. Oh, sorry. And basically, like, these ones here on the end aren't doing so hot, but the ones in the middle seem to be doing better as far as just strength and holding on. In the meantime, oof, you come down, green beans, and these are starting to come up, and I need to start really training these up. I'll have to get these grates out of the way and start training the green beans up to go and grow up the corn. Actually, this is what they're supposed to be here for. I mean, in part they're supposed to be here to grow up the corn, and in part to add nutrients back into the soil, because corn is a very hungry plant. But we'll see how it all comes out. It's just, so what's going on there. My flower graveyard, all my flowers died because I was out of town for work, and I had just transplanted these. They were just kind of clustered, and I rearranged them and planted some new flowers, and they were all still really sensitive and kind of transplant shocked, and they didn't get watered over the weekend, and they all burnt up because it's like 95 degrees. And my potatoes are going crazy, and they're already starting to flower. And my understanding is that once they start flowering after a couple weeks, I could, in theory, like 2 or 3 weeks from now, be able to go in and start digging up potatoes, like little like fingerling and little like new potatoes and little ones. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I don't know how long. Right now we're projecting to start looking at harvesting potatoes like mid-June. Probably try and have everything out before we go on vacation. But because it's early May right now, so the potatoes going crazy, doing their potato thing. So look down here, I'm not seeing anything, don't see potatoes popping up out of the soil or anything, so I'm not worried about that. Cantaloupe's doing all right. I'm using these bamboo sticks here to train these up, to get them up here to kind of latch on to the trellis. But let me tuck this one back. You see all these little tendril guys, and if I just let that hang there and let the tendril kind of come up here, they'll wrap themselves around naturally. If I just let it kind of do its thing, you'll see they're kind of just sticking out, stretching and looking for something to grab onto. And so in a few days they'll grab on. Like this one's a little low, but a few days hopefully they'll start stretching up and they'll start grabbing onto here. I've just been trying to kind of train them up using the bamboo stakes. Get this up. I may have to go in with some of these and stretch them out, or might have to prune some of them back, just because you can see there's so many vines and they may get kind of crazy and take over everything. I don't want that to happen. As much as I'd love to have tons of cantaloupe in here, I also can't have them going crazy and taking everything over, so I might have to go and prune some of these vines that are a little unruly, and just kind of manage it and say, okay, I'm only gonna have like maybe 2 vines on each plant, just to kind of keep it in check. More potatoes, doing the same thing, looking good. Don't have anything sticking up, so I don't think I have potatoes yet. This one's just starting to flower. I'd never seen potato flowers before, so it's kind of cool getting to see this, like seeing potato flowers and like the whole process. It's cool. Like, and then over here we got the watermelon. It's starting to shoot. And what did I say before? That it grows deep, sets its roots really deep, and then after it's established, it shoots up. And here we go, it's shooting up. And here we got our main growth stem here. And I don't have any other, looking around, looking down here, I don't have, so far it's really only growing one main stem, which is kind of nice. We got the one little growth stem right here, and that's kind of helpful because with watermelons and the cantaloupe and the pumpkins and the cucumbers, they tend to sprawl. And if I can keep this managed to maybe 1 or 2 main growth stems like this, because basically if I went right now and I snipped this tip off, this would stop growing. It basically grows from here, and just this little bulb here grows up, and it just, everything grows from that point. And if I cut that off, it'll stop growing, which is a good trick for if I wanted to go over here and like, oh, I don't want this vine, this one's growing way too crazy over here, and I could just go in, snip this off. This will all continue to survive. If, like, you see, I've got these flower buds that are starting to form right in here, and right in there we got these little flower buds, and these look like these are all going to be male flowers. And yeah, I got a lot of male flower buds popping up here. I don't have any, don't look like I'm seeing any female flowers yet that would turn into any melons. But if I'm like, hey, I want to control my, like right here, see, here's what I was saying about this kind of sprawls. I got another growth tip right here. I probably need to, no, I'm going to go ahead and take this one off, just snip that off, because if I let that grow, this would grow out from here and be another vine like this, or like this coming off, that would start producing. But it's growing off in this direction, and I don't want it coming this way. I want everything to start going up, and the only reason I haven't run that one particular vine up yet is because it's just not quite long enough, and it's not being problematic yet. I'm probably going to train these up in this area, but I still got to make room for the watermelon, because the watermelon's got to go up too. So got to manage all this stuff. But right now I've only got the one, and I'm kind of happy I've only got the one line for my watermelons. But something I've kind of like to appreciate, and I realize I'm just rambling, but that's me. But I love the watermelons we have. They're kind of the personal size watermelon. They're probably like the size of I don't know, somewhere between a volleyball and a softball. But I'm curious, these leaves here, these look like, you know, that image of a hand made of hands made of hands. That's what these leaves remind me of. They kind of look like a maple leaf made of other maple leaves. But I really like, I just like the look of these. These are really pretty leaves. I've never had like, oh, I love these leaves. These are just wonderful. I've never had that before. But looking at these particular watermelon leaves, we've grown watermelon in the past that did not look like this. So I'm curious. But I like this. And I'm really happy that, like I said, the watermelon, oh, there's another little growth tip right there. But the watermelons aren't getting super crazy like they have in the past. And my son is going to yell at me because, oh, your shadow's in the camera. I don't care. I'm showing off the garden. I'm going to jump over here. I got my basket down there. Jump over here to the pumpkins, because holy shit, the pumpkins. Speaking of growth tips, I actually have already had to cut, if you look down here, these two right here, I've already had to cut vines like this that were already starting to sprawl so much that I couldn't, they were going to be unmanageable. I wasn't going to be able to run them up. I wasn't going to be able to do much of anything with them. And if you look, I've got this vine here coming up, and kind of lean that one over to that side. And this main one here, this is our big one. This is our big main vine. Let me kind of get this one up here. And you see how those tendrils kind of, oh no, whoops. Don't worry, I'll kind of tuck it back here and it'll re-entwine itself as it goes. That'll be okay. Okay, there we go. And that one's running up. And mind you, there are 2 plants here. If you look down, this massive tangle is down here. All these flower buds. You see all these flower buds. All these, all this and this and this and all those are going to be flowers. And because I've learned plants enough at this point, all of these are male flowers. And apparently the ratio of male to female flowers on pumpkins and watermelons is about 7 to 1. So you'll have like 7 male flowers for every female flower. And looking over at this plant, and this is our left side plant here. And look, I've got another, see this, another growth tip right here. I'm probably gonna cut this one off because of how it's kind of clustered. And then the main stalk here. And I got all these clusters of stuff, and I need to clean all this stuff up down here. But if you look right here, you see, do a kind of a comparison. We're digging through the flowers. You see right here, we've got the male flowers. And you see just kind of the smooth, the tip, just kind of this, the stalk is there, and then you got the little flower bud and flower buds and flower buds. But then you come over here, and this is actually a terrible location to look at it. But you see this here is a female flower bud. I'm gonna go up to a better location because I got a bunch of them over here. But like right here, you see right here, we've got another female flower bud, and you've got the pumpkin sprout, basically, the like baby pumpkin. And then there's what's going to be the flower. And I got another one right here. And there's actually a bunch of them that really start looking around. Come up. Yeah, here's another one. But we got a bunch of ants all over. I need to spray these or something. But all of these female flowers, when the male flowers open up, pollen goes out, and I may manually pollinate them because it's just easier to guarantee. You'll just take the pumpkin flower and like dab it in the other pumpkin flower, and there you go, pollinated, you know, forced pumpkin sex or whatever, I don't know. But holy crap, you know, the pumpkins are getting so big, and you look at, I don't have the biggest hands, but holy crap, that's like basketball size with how big these pumpkin leaves. I didn't realize our last pumpkins didn't have leaves this big. Like, they were maybe this big. These are fucking huge. These are like dinner plates. Holy shit. Oof. And actually they're sprawling, so I need to, these are bunching up. See, these are the pumpkin leaves, but right over here are cucumbers. And I need to get, these cucumbers need to come up. I haven't been out here yet today, so I'm seeing, I got these kind of staked to try and train them like the others over there. And we got, again, so we got clusters of leaves and a little baby flower, behind the leaf, little baby flower clusters. And a lot of these, this particular variety of cucumber, last season, we got several dozen cucumbers off of one plant. And if we look, I think, yeah, if you look right here, real close. Let me see if I can get in real close. Real close. And it won't focus for me. Let's focus. There we go. That right there, if it will focus, maybe not. But this right here is a female cucumber. And you got a lot of male cucumber buds. They're kind of the same thing. Just they don't have a lot of body to them. And that's probably not going to become anything. It's probably not going to get big enough to actually get pollinated. It'll probably dry up before any of these flowers open, because it'll be weeks before any of these flowers open. Most of these will probably dry up and die before they ever get mature enough to open and pollinate or do anything. But cucumbers doing their thing. And this little this little potato right here, I have no clue if it's going to do anything, but it's there. Back up. And my basket, I have my basket out here because if you see this right here, I have my bell pepper. Remember the bell pepper that I was showing off that was over there? And I had to pick it the other day because it just got too damn big. It was like full size. the peppers we had last season off that same plant were maybe half this size at best. And so this, we've got 2 right now. Well, this one. I got 1 more over there. You can go see. My basket. Yes, I'm a dork. I have a little wicker basket that I pick vegetables in. Come back over here to the peppers. Over here and see how much bigger the pepper plant has been in just the last couple of weeks since you've seen it last. It's huge. You see all these flowers, and a lot of these flowers, like a lot of them are just drying up and all that, but a lot of these flowers are going to have peppers, and I don't think I can get a shot inside any of the flower buds right now without ripping one off, but they'll open up and you'll be able to look inside and see another nice pepper. This probably got another week that'll leave this one on here. Hopefully it'll get to be about the size of that other one. But when they've actually, let's see, you can look inside this one. When they're actually pollinated, and you can see, if you can see inside there, deep inside there, where it's green inside, that's the little pepper. And if it does pollinate and it does take, then it'll start swelling up and you'll just see the little pepper growing in there, and next thing you know, you got this. And so hopefully that's what we'll have come. But I got way more flowers here than we're gonna need peppers. And I mean, I got dozens and dozens and dozens. I think we got about a dozen peppers last season, but kind of looking around at all the flowers in here. But this thing just shot up in the last couple of weeks. I mean, if you remember, probably my last video was maybe this tall. And in the last couple of weeks, just because it's getting warmer, there's a lot more sun, it's got a lot more daylight hours. I mean, the tomatoes too, it's getting crazy. I need to come back. I'm gonna have to hack this way back here in a few weeks. More little tomatoes popping up. So much up here. I need to, all these, soon enough, it's gonna be so hot that these aren't gonna be able to bloom. All these flowers are gonna burn up and die. So I'll have to cut this back and shade the whole thing. But while we're out here, that's why I have my basket. You see all this yellow in here. You see all this yellow and this one back here. And let's go ahead and grab this one. I gotta pick tomatoes because, well, as you can see, maybe you can't see. Let's see. Got all these, and these are yellow pear tomatoes. These are kind of hung up here on my basket, or on the. See, the problem with this particular plant got really tangled. If you see how tangled all the vines and everything got in here, because I really wasn't paying attention to it coming out of the winter. I just kind of cut it way back and let it do its thing, and next thing I know, it's huge and taking off and starting to produce, which we didn't expect to happen. I honestly thought it was going to die, and all the vines and everything was all tangled and twisted. But the only way to fix it would have been to hack everything back to nubs like I did before. If you look at all these cuts, I cut this plant back to this level. It was sticks. I thought it was going to die, but it took off. And now I got all these tomatoes. Let's see, do we have any more in here? Let's see. Nothing's really that yellow yet. Let's come around the other side. Let's see if we got anything over here. Yeah, nothing new. But you look in here, there's a lot of dead I need to cut out of this. But I'm gonna have to come back and cut all this out. I'm just gonna wait until this cluster here and these last few that are in here. All these little ones that are just coming in, I may just let them go. I may just like hack them out and let it go, because at this point I don't need them. And in the summer it's too hot for them to fruit. That it's just too hot for the plants. And so I may just cut the whole thing back. But we'll see. This is getting kind of unruly. And you see, like this is getting crazy. It's getting in the way over here. And come here and tuck this. Nah. Yep, it's too tangled. I was gonna try and tuck this back into the cage, but it's too tangled. But now we got all these tomatoes in here and a pepper. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with them exactly, but I actually don't eat either of them. My wife does, but I don't. But now we're at our lemon tree. They don't show off the lemon tree much. It's gotten very spindly. It got pretty thrashed over the winter and lost a lot of leaves. We're really happy because we got a lot of new growth on it. I've been adding a lot of fertilizer to it. A lot of coffee grounds for the nitrogen and everything, because nitrogen is good for leaf development. And so we got all these nice little new leaf sprigs. And so we're really happy. We got some more flowers. But all this new growth. We're really excited about it. It's helping fill this out. Pretty sure I'm gonna have to shade it this summer because I don't think it's going to fill out enough by the end of the summertime. You got all these shoots down here. I feel bad because I'm gonna have to take off all of these shoots. And because if you see the white paint, it's a protective paint you put on citrus because the skin, the bark right here, if you see it, I'm pretty sure that's all dog damage or frisbees getting thrown at it. It's very susceptible to sunburn, which is really funny for something that grows in the desert, but it's really susceptible and you can actually kill it if it gets too much heat. And so you actually put this protective white paint on it to protect the bark. And I've actually got some damage here. I really need to come out here and clean this up and patch this up. And I think Mystic might have been chewing on it too. But I'll have to take all these sprigs off because they'll burn up, and just paint this whole trunk probably up to here in the forks here where it's exposed up here. And oh, more sprigs. We're just really excited to see all this new growth right now because we were really worried about this tree. And so super excited. It's coming on, it's holding on. So but that's something else I got to do soon. I know I keep saying I'm not gonna just keep filming the garden, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't like being on camera personally, and I can be on camera, or I can be filming the garden and not be on camera. I don't feel like I can talk to you without being on camera directly unless I'm filming the garden. But we're gonna come back to Mr. Frog, because Mr. Frog here looks pretty happy to have his little sunflower under his giant sunflower. So until next time, oddballs, bye.